Good morning. So the question is El a pagan deity, or was El originally a pagan deity? So this is the origin of the word El. The word El comes from Bab-El, the Babylonians, which were the Amorite race of around 2000 BC to 1700 BC, I guess you could say in that time frame. El is the Babylonian word for God. Bab-El means gateway to God, a reference to a high-rise temple that was used for astrology, and that was the Amorite race. Now, some people mix up the Babylonians with the Sumerians, so you have to understand that those are two different races with two different names for God. They didn't use the same word. So, but here's how the word origin came into being. So the Sumerian word for God is En, or An, such as EnLil, Enki, Anu, Inanna, Nana. Those are some of the names of the Sumerian gods. And we see this word carried on in the Bible as Enoch. Enoch. So the word En there refers to God and so forth. So EnLil is the god of the wind. So what we have in the Babylonian language is we have El is the general name for God. Because when you say Bab-El, you're talking about the gateway to God or the gateway to the gods, so Bab-El. So El is the general name for God or the gods from Ilu, which means wind. So EnLil is the wind god associated with breath or spirit. So we see this appearing in the Bible in several places. For instance, in Genesis. In Genesis, we have we're going to go to the Young's literal translation, and this is Genesis 3:8 of the literal translation, which says, "And they hear the sound of Jehovah God walking up and down in the garden at the breeze of the day. And the man and his wife hide themselves from the face of Jehovah God in the midst of the trees of the garden." So they see God at the breeze of the day, of course, because he is associated with the wind. Now, this God is associated with a lot of different things throughout the Bible. But the earliest point we see here, he's associated with EnLil. And that would make a lot of sense because EnLil was the chief god of the Babylonian pantheon. Sometimes it was I think sometimes it was Anu and sometimes it was EnLil. So it kind of depends on where you're at, what part of the world you were at back there in Mesopotamia. Some people put Anu at the top, some people put EnLil at the top. So then there's the next passage here in Genesis. This is an earlier passage. We can see where EnLil is being referred to as the god of Genesis. So in the creation story, of course, you have, again from Young's literal translation, "And Jehovah God formeth the man, dust from the ground, and breatheth into his nostrils breath of life, and the man becometh a living creature." So here we have EnLil breathing the breath of life into the man. So the wind is of course EnLil, and then it becomes a metaphor for the spirit, the breath of life. And it's not any more complicated than that. That's how El got its name. So was El originally a pagan deity? The short answer is yes. Yes, it is. Now, in the Bible, the religion changed, and so now it's not the same God as it was before, because just like Baal, that's another good example. People think, oh, Baal was this evil being that had to be destroyed. This is devil worship. No, Baal was just, it had been made into an idol. That was the only thing that made Baal not kosher, right? Is that it had been made into an idol, and so therefore it didn't fit the orthodoxy of this new religion. It wasn't the fact, there was nothing else about it other than it had been made into an idol. And this goes for all the gods of the Middle East. Whether it was Ashtoreth or any of these other gods, the problem that the Israelite orthodoxy had with them was that they had been made into idols. My dog's itching back there. Anyway, so that's the end of this video. It's not a long video because there's not a lot else to explain about it. Baal actually comes from the same word origin. So Baal means the Lord God, and it's a reference to this, really a storm god at this point. Baal is associated with the storms and the thunder and the lightning and the rain and the agriculture, because that's what brings that. But before that, it's specifically wind. Wind is the key, and of course, like I said, it's from the Babylonian EnLil, which is where you get wind is Ilu. So the Ilu in EnLil, or however they pronounced it, Bab-El or EnLil, Ilu, it becomes El, which is wind, which is what they're talking about here in Genesis with the breath of life and so on. Oh, we also see this appearing again with the Red Sea crossing. This is another place where it's kind of... Now, the God in the Exodus stories, he's associated with a lot of things. He's associated with the locusts and spreading a disease, and you'll find those stories too in some of the other Mesopotamian Babylonian stories about EnLil ordering the god of disease to spread disease and doing these different things in a war against the humans, because the natural elements were basically at war with the humans, right? So the old stories in a lot of ways were stories about men's war with the gods, which were the natural elements, and so they were trying to appease these gods, but they were also trying to survive these gods who were the natural elements. So anyway, but what we see with the Red Sea crossing, this mighty east wind that blows all night and separates the waters so that the Israelites can pass. Well, that would of course be the wind god. So anyway, that's all there is to that. You can look into those words yourself and see that those are the origins. And then understand that throughout the Bible, it's not always going to be the wind. Sometimes it's going to be symbolized as the sun with the golden ark and the 12 tribes. So there's a lot of different parts to it. It's a complicated story, it's kind of like out of all these different things, they made a one God system, right? Out of all these different parts. So that's really all there is to that, and have a great day.